Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this 2 p.m. LeagueApps learning session, Leveling Up Your Game. For those of you that were with us from 12:30 to 1:30, we went through a few parts of our LeagueApps console. Whether you are a current LeagueApps partner or part of our broader community, you're welcome to this session. We'll be going through two parts: reporting and insights and communications and resources that you have available to you from LeagueApps. And we will also dive into a concept about account health audits. I touched on this earlier today. We are exploring this new audit concept for our LeagueApps partners to make sure that every single account, whether you've been with us for just a few months or many years, that every account is using the most valuable features that are a part of our platform and using them in a way that is best for your business, your organization, and your participants. So everyone that's joining today will get an audit directly to your email inbox in the next day or so that will guide you through step-by-step 8 categories of the LeagueApps platform that are most impactful and valuable for you to use. There are linked to help guides, navigation tips, best practices within the audit, and if you want help or time to review it with a LeagueApps specialist, we are happy to do that as well. So if you're listening in, you will be getting an audit. It will be coming from my teammate, Chris, so keep an eye out in your inbox, and we're happy to walk you through it. The way we've designed the LeagueApps learning sessions today are to work hand in hand with the audit, going through different categories that are most important for you to be aware of with your LeagueApps account. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tyler Storch, a senior support specialist on our team here. He's going to walk you through part 1, reporting and insights, for the next 25 minutes or so. We have a Q&A widget on the Zoom webinar. Please put questions in there. We'll get to them live. We also have Brittany Dunn on the line from our support team that I'm sure many of you know. She will be responding to questions live, and we'll get to a little Q&A portion at the end if time allows. So Tyler, I will turn it over to you to start. Thank you.
Hey everyone, hope everyone is having a great day so far. Thank you for the introduction, Joanna. I'm Tyler, a senior support specialist here at LeagueApps. I've been at LeagueApps for 2 years now. I have a great passion for this platform because I came up as an admin, as an organizer like all of you. My father, he started using LeagueApps before I joined the company, so I saw the value it brought him, and I'm excited to teach you guys the value that especially our reporting and insights features can bring to you guys, especially during this time in our world where data is so important. Just being aware of, who's on what payment plan or who's registering for what program, all that's super important during this time in our world. So just excited to walk you through that right now. I'm going to be walking you through 6 different reports today. I think these are probably our most important and valuable 6 reports on the platform. I'll walk you through each one real quick right now with a quick summary, then we'll hop into a test site and give you a walkthrough of each feature. So we'll start with the cross-site reports. We have a bunch of different cross-site reports, basically meaning if you have sub-sites, if you want to segment your business on LeagueApps, you have the ability to create sub-sites. Let's say you have a baseball portion of your business and a basketball portion of your business. You could have multiple sub-sites with information on each one. Those cross-site reports allow you to dig into information all across your account and just see all that one place. Then we have the registration report. This is a report that's going to give you a lot of great information about who's registering, information about them, etc. The LeagueApps Gateway report, which is through our in-house gateway, LeagueApps Gateway. You're going to have reporting features all around that. The fees related to each purchase, keeping track of transfers, all of that. Then we have the payment plan report. This one's especially important right now, especially with coronavirus going on. It's a great way to keep track of payment plans. If someone has a 12 installment payment plan, it's a great way to see what's coming up this month, what's coming up next month. There's actually a screenshot on the screen right now of this, so I'll take you through a little bit later. It's a very powerful feature during these times. The transaction detail report is going to give you more information about, transactions, what people are paying for, the fees related to that. And then the transaction summary report, which is going to give you a nice walkthrough of all of your programs, the net amount collected for each one, the amount coming in for each one, etc. So I'm going to hop into my test site right now. And we're going to go through each of those right now to give you a visual. So we're going to start with the cross-site reports. This is my management console. It's basically the home page when you first log into your account. If I want to go down here and click on my name and then manage account, it's going to take me to some areas that control the entire account. So I might have subsites like I do here for portions of my business. If I click the top right, it's going to show a bunch of those. And note that only certain admin might have access to this. So if you don't see this, don't be worried. It might just be an admin level is a little bit higher than what you're using, but I'm going to walk you through the cross-site reports first here. These are going to be located up top. It's going to say account reports. There's going to be 3 different ones. We're going to start with a membership report. So this is a really cool report. Like I said, if you have multiple subsites, all different portions of your business, it's going to be a place where you can see all of your members of all of your different sides of your business in one place. So for example, Dave right here, he's a member of multiple different subsites, and I can see all the different subsites he's a member of and his username. When someone's registering, they could use the same username and password within all of your different subsites. So it's going to give you a listing of that. You could filter by name up top. If someone wants to be eliminated from a lot of different subsites, you can click the X next to them and eliminate them. You could also filter by username, date joined, the last login up top. It's just a great way to get a feel for your member base across the entire platform, not just one subsite. So let's go back for a second and go to the second cross-site report, which is invoices. And I'm going to pause for a second, just got let you guys know, if you guys have a question throughout this webinar, feel free to ask a question. There's a Q&A button on your screen. You can click that, and Brittany will be answering questions live. If we have time at the end, I'll be answering questions live, so feel free to ask any questions you have that may come up. So this is the invoices report for the organization. This is going to include all of your different subsites, just like the last one, and it's going to include all of your different invoices. So it's going to give you a listing of the invoice number, the program, what site it's from, etc. Every invoice has an invoice number that you can click into. It takes you directly to that invoice. So if I just want to make an adjustment to this invoice, I could do it right there from that report. You could filter up top by date and widen the report to include more information. You could sort by valuable things like last transaction date or payment deadline status, amount billed, all types of different things, as well as search by invoice number up top. And all of our reporting pages in the top right will have this export to CSV option. So you could export a report, you could pick and choose what different filters you want on that report, and then you could have a really nice report in Excel of all that information to keep on your computer or whatever you want to do with it. You'll have all that information on hand. Let's go back one more time for the last cross-site report, which is the transactions. So this is going to show all the different transactions coming in across your entire business. So whether there's a baseball payment coming in or a basketball payment coming in, whatever subsite it's coming from, it's going to show up here. And you're going to see the type of payment. It could be a voided invoice, a card payment, an offline payment that was logged. You'll see the payment status in this column, some information about the net amount collected versus the transaction amount, the site over here. All these are clickable links that take you directly to, let's say, the program. If I want to go right to the program, you can go right to if I click this pay button right here, it'll take me right to the invoice. So everything's clickable. It takes you right to the information about them. Same with the member. If I want to get to his profile specifically, I can just click his name. And again, on the top right, if you click export to CSV, there's more filter options. You could pick and choose what you want on it. It's a great way to see everything in one place. And then the second is the transaction summary right here. This is going to kind of group together all the different programs. So if I just want to see, let's say, this is really powerful because I can go back and see, let's say 2020 travel hockey season. I want to see exactly how much the mini mite program took in. I could see that number. I could see the net amount collected. It's a really quick way to see how much each program you run across your entire business is taken in. So those are a good picture of the organization-wide reports. Now we're going to just hop into one of the subsites. We'll choose baseball, for example, here. And these next 5 reports are just going to be for the baseball subsite. So these are just specifically for baseball rather than organization-wide. We're going to start with number 2, the registration report. We're going to go to reporting in blue on the right side here, and then registrations. And here we can filter up top by date. I'm going to filter back to January 1st so I can get a really nice feel of who's been registering since January 1st. There's also other filters like program type, sport, gender. And that's going to give me a log of everyone that's registered since January 1st. It's going to give me a lot of different information about them as well. It's still clickable links across the entire page, like the invoice or the program. But the cool thing about this one could be really helpful during this crazy time in our world. If you click export to CSV, you can get information about each player that they filled out. So let's say they filled out a form field for their t-shirt size or their jersey number, or you want to know, let's say you want to know if they use a discount code. That could be really important, or whether they used a credit. This could be a place where you can look that up and find out what payment plan they're on, what credit they, if they apply to credit, any information they've entered for form fields during program registrations. All that's at your fingertips here, and you could export to CSV using that action right there. So this is a really cool report. Gives you a lot of information about players on your site. Really recommend using that report for all types of purposes, really. Next, we'll move into the LeagueApps Gateway report. So LeagueApps Gateway is our in-house payment gateway. We do offer others like Stripe, Authorize, and PayPal. Really recommend this one though. Everything's done through us. There's no monthly bill. It's just one all-in rate that you're paying per transaction. And all the reporting is through us. So we can help you out with any question you have regarding, reporting related questions. We're there. We see all the reporting and we can guide you. So I'm going to walk you through quickly what this looks like. We have the incoming funds. You can see at all times what's coming in next. What will be my next transfer? You'll see that on this side right here. On this side right here, you'll see past information. So you'll see what your last transfer was. On June 10th, I was given almost $3,000 and it was transferred to my bank account. And since I joined LeagueApps Gateway, since I set this up, I have made this amount of money and it's gone to my bank account. So there's also a bunch of different tabs up top. If I click transfers, this is a really good one. It's going to show all the different transfers or deposits into your bank account. So it'll show the bank account number it went to. You can filter by date up top again. You can export as well. But you can also go into each transfer and see exactly common quote get. So I see what make my June 8th transfer. Well, it's right on this page. If you click the view payments button, you're going to be able to see exactly what makes up each transfer. You're going to see the net amount collected for each one, what site they came from, if this gateway is attached to multiple subsites, all types of information, who the people paying are. It's a really great report to give you a feel for that. And then you also have the payments report, which is just going to show you a general listing of payments coming in. But this one's really cool as well. Let's hop over to the balance report. So the balance report is going to show you basically anything affecting your balance in LeagueApps. So this could include transfers to your bank account, payments coming in, refunds. So you see a refund down here. You see a payment adjustment. Like let's say, you're supposed to be owed fees back for refunds that you gave. That's something you could see here. It's everything affecting your bank account, essentially. It's all here. Disputes. So if this is a very, we never like to see disputes, but if disputes come in, someone disputes a charge, this is definitely relevant during this crazy time in our world. There's a place here where it's going to ask you to submit evidence. You could submit evidence through LeagueApps. It's going to go to the bank who decides the outcome, but we could advise you on some good evidence to submit, give you some best practices there, and you can handle that all through our platform. So you don't have to go back and forth between a third party. Everything's here, which is a great value and benefit of being on LeagueApps Gateway. And then account info. This is basically going to show you, who the account is under name-wise, the bank account info, all that. You can restrict this to only the owner of the account, so don't worry about admins having access to this. It's very easy to restrict who has access to this. And yeah, that's really a good run through of our LeagueApps Gateway dashboard. Let's move on to the fourth report, which is the payment plan report. Like I said, this one's super important during this crazy time. Let's go to reporting and then payment plans. So here it's going to show basically a listing of all of your payment plans. information like when the next installments are due, how many people have paid on those specific payment plans. And by payment plans, I basically mean, let's say you want to set up a scenario where everyone's paying on the 15th of each month for 12 months. That would be termed a payment plan in our system. You can track those all here. So let's say I want to see for the next 30 days what payment plans are hitting. I'll see on the left side here that there's a June 12th payment plan hitting. There's a few different June 15th ones, July 1st and July 2nd. Let's say, a specific example here that could be valuable. Let's say a parent or a few parents want their June 15th installment moved back. I could go to this report. I see there's June 15th installments here. If I click show details, it's going to take me to a listing of everyone who's on a June 15th installment plan. And I can go right to their invoice here to make any adjustments I want using the pencil icon. So it's a really quick way to just see, all the payment plans, where they're at, who's paying soon, anything like that. You could also, it's a good way to spot if people aren't making payments. And let's say you have a certain payment plan where you're noticing there's a lot outstanding. It's a good way to get on top of that ahead of time. So there's a lot of great use cases here. It's very relevant in the world of COVID-19 where things are getting pushed back and return to plays very muddy. So definitely recommend this report if you have payment plans. Let's move on to our second to last report here. That is the transaction detail report. We looked at something similar just before with the cross-site ones, but this one's going to be just for LeagueApps Baseball, like I said. So this one, if you click show filters at the top, there's going to be a lot of great ways you can filter this. So a very common question I'll hear is, how do I filter out voids and offline payments? This is a great report to do that. So you could, check the boxes up top or uncheck them and get a good listing of your payments coming in without any offline payments included. You could also just only have your refunds. If you want to just see all the refunds you've given during a certain time range, it's another great way to do that all in one place. You can filter by live, upcoming, or unpublished programs. So each program has a program state you can put it in. Let's say you only want to see your, most current programs there. You could do that by filtering by program state. There's a lot of other great, ways to filter up top. But the main use case of this report, I would say, is it gives you a nice listing of not only program registrations, but also e-commerce products. If you sell those, they're going to be listed on this report too. So products and program registrations will all be in one place. It'll show you in this column where they're coming from. It'll show you who the member is, and you'll be able to see the net amount collected. So it gives you a nice feel for how much you're taking in after fees are being, taken off by LeagueApps. So it gives you more of a real feel for how much you're actually taking in. And top right, again, you can pull a report from here. There's a lot of great filters here. You could see the bank transfer information for some of these, the bank transfer dates. So if you want a listing of payments and you also want to see what date they were transferred to your bank account, this is a great report for that. That's something I hear pretty often from our organizers. Yeah, so that's a good run through of this. Again, you can go and filter too if you want to see more information. I can go back for the entire year. It's going to give you all that information right here. So let's move on to our transaction summary report now. Once again, this is only for LeagueApps Baseball. So I said this before for a second, but if you want to basically see a listing of every program you've ever run on LeagueApps, even if you deleted them. So these two were even deleted and I still have a listing of them reporting wise. If I want to see, like, let's say the 2020-17 U team, how much did that team bring in? Very easy to do that. Just come to the program or the transaction summary report. You're going to see a listing of all the different teams, and you're going to see a listing of the amount paid, the net amount collected. It's clickable. So it'll take you to this report to get more of a feel for what includes that, what makes up that number. And yeah, it's a really great way to see all that information. You could filter up top very similarly to the transaction detail report actually, but this one's basically just a way of grouping that all together and viewing it more on a program basis versus just a simple, all the transactions coming in basis. And yeah, that would be a walkthrough of all of the 6 reports we mentioned. I wanted to throw it back to Joanna now. We're going to go through some questions that you guys had. And yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tyler. That was awesome. All these reports, I think, touch on a lot of the key elements that business owners need insight to right now, such as financials and registration metrics. So this was very helpful. A few questions. Where can a LeagueApps administrator find a discount code or a credit to see if they were used?
Yep. So the easiest way to do that, I would say, is go to reporting on whatever subsite the person registered on. Go to reporting and then registrations. Now, if I want to open up the range just a bit, I'll go back to January 1st, just as an example here. There's going to be a lot of export options up top. So one of them is going to be discount. It's going to be right here. You'll see what discount code they entered when they registered. And there's also one for credit applied. So if you export a report, you're going to have all that information on the user, and you'll be able to see if they used a credit or a discount code when they registered. Good question.
Awesome. Thank you. Another one. What would be the best report for a LeagueApps administrator to see how much they've paid in LeagueApps fees for a given program? So, if they're reconciling their profit and loss statement for a program and they want to account for their technology fees, what would be the best report for them to use?
Got it. Yep. I would say if you go to reporting and then transactions, let's go back to that transaction summary report we ended with. I think this is probably the best way to do that. So if you want to open up the filters just a bit, it's going to show you a nice picture of your programs. And all you really have to do is just subtract the total amount paid by the net amount collected. It'll give you kind of a good picture of how much you're paying LeagueApps, how much you're taking in. That's probably the best way to go about that, I would say.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, that net amount collected is what is representing what the organizer is collecting after the LeagueApps fees are paid out. So finding the difference between those two, the total and the net. That's what you're saying, right?
Yep, correct.
Okay, awesome. And then this is a popular topic right now because of, unfortunately, the level of refunds the sport industry is facing. But can you just talk about what happens to fees, processing fees, when a refund is issued?
Yep. So that's a very common question around these times. When people are registering, obviously there's fees that are coming out. You see that reflected on your gateway dashboard. A common question we get is, like you said, what happens to those fees when you give a refund? So the answer is, when you give a refund, the person who paid is getting back the entire amount that they paid. And then the fees associated with that are being credited back to you as the organizer. So let's say someone paid $200. They're going to get back their $200. Any fees associated with that will be credited back to the organizer, and you will see that reflected on your gateway dashboard in the coming days or weeks.
Wonderful. We had a question come in from Timothy about cross-referencing what hits the bank. And this is obviously very important to understand. Tyler touched on the transaction detail report, which I think is the gold standard financial report. If you have an accountant, make sure they're aware of that report. But what Timothy is interested in is cross-referencing what hits the bank and what program they're coming from. Again, probably to manage those P&Ls on a program level. So Tyler, can you just talk through the best way to do that?
Yeah, like you said, if you go to reporting and then transactions, the transaction detail report's great for this. So it's going to give you a listing of all the payments coming in, the programs they're from, and also if you click the export button up top, there's going to be a bank transfer date filter option here. So you can really pull a report with all the payments coming in, what program they're from, and the bank transfer date. It's a really easy way to consolidate and see that information in one place.
Awesome. Can you also, so there's actually another way also through the gateway dashboard. So can you show that as well? Because I think what you just showed is great to look at a lot of a lot of different registrations across a lot of different dates, but say they want to go the opposite way, they see a deposit in their bank account for $5,000, how do they know what is included in that $5,000?
Gotcha. Yeah. So if we go to reporting and then gateway dashboard again, it's going to bring us back to our gateway dashboard here. If I click the transfers tab, let's say June 2nd is the day you want to look into. There's going to be a view payments button next to June 2nd, and that's going to show all the payments that make up that June 2nd transfer. So you'll see all the different people involved, all the different programs involved, and the amount of each payment. So that's a great way to see everything included in each transfer.
Wonderful. And yep, this would list your refunds. And then a common question we get here as well is sometimes where it says payment under type, you'll see that's a refund if it's a refund. And then there's also this word called adjustment. We get a lot of questions on that. That is the returning of the fees that you paid. So an adjustment will always be a positive number, and it's pretty much us giving back the money that you paid on the transaction when you make a refund. So I think that is all the questions we have for this session. Tyler, thank you so much. This was very helpful. For everyone on the line, you will be getting an account health audit. So all of these reports are a part of that with help articles and best practices tied to them. I know we had some chatter from the attendees about that transaction summary report that they never knew about it. So that is what we like to hear from these sessions. Not that you didn't know about it, but now that you do know, that makes us happy. So Tyler, thank you so much. We are going to now switch over to our next session, our final LeagueApps learning of the day. And I will be presenting this session. So let me share my screen here. Okay. So this next session, part 2, we'll be going to about 3 o'clock. My name is Joanna. I handle the strategy and operations for our customer success team here at LeagueApps. I've been part of the team for about 3.5 years. And before that, I was actually a LeagueApps customer. So I've been using this platform since 2014, I believe. So I've seen it evolve a lot. I've seen a lot of neat usage come about. I started on the product team here and now work with our partners, which is pretty awesome. So I'm going to start with communication. This is obviously an extremely important topic. It's a core part of our platform. We are a registrations platform at our heart, but once people register for a program, you have participants, you have this mass of staff members and players and parents and coaches, you need to be able to communicate with them. So we pride ourselves on really robust communication tools. I'm going to go through some of the really most valuable integral pieces of our messaging system in today's session. There's a lot more than what you see on the screen here. So if you want to dive deeper into ways you can optimize your messaging for your organization, please feel free to reach out to our team at support@leagueapps.com, and they'll be happy to dive into any of this with you. So for the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to talk through some of the key messaging features on our platform, things that you should be checking on a yearly basis, making sure they're up to date, and a few ways to get the most out of our automation tools, and then use the messaging tools that are available to you to have clear communication with your customers and also keep your account nice and organized so you understand how effective your email deliverability is, and a lot of other items that will impact your business. So we'll first go through email settings. This is something you don't need to go crazy on, but I think it's good to check it once a year. It's where you set up your sender name and information like that. We have a lot of automated messages in the system that cut down on the manual work that you need to do. So it's important to know what those are and make sure that you're taking full advantage of them. So we have some automated default emails when registrations occur, so we'll go through those. And then we also have some automated reminders that help keep your participants in check when it comes to things like payment collection or making them aware of event occurrences. And then we'll go through our compose a message tool that's extremely powerful. It emails, it text messages, it can do both, and you can filter on almost any data point in the system, which is really neat. Invite to join. This is a tool we came out with about 2 or 3 years ago, I would say, and it's pretty much a targeted marketing tool within the platform. You're able to send invites from one program to another and track the invitation and the participant status throughout the whole process. And then lastly, we'll go through a member email cleanup exercise that I think is really important, especially if your account is, a few years old at this point. You may have customers that are no longer with your organization or that have created new emails, and they have emails that are bouncing or that are unsubscribed, or they're doing spam reports. So there are some really advanced tools that we've developed in the past year or two that give you insights into email deliverability and ways that you can actually remedy the problems. So not just point out the problems, but we'll show you how to fix them too. So I'm going to switch over here to the LeagueApps platform. So from here, we're going to go to the account email settings. So that is through the settings bar, and then clicking on, not site settings, I want to go to email settings. So this page is pretty basic, should be easy to understand. This email sender item is just something that you want to make sure is up to date. I think everyone gets a lot of emails nowadays, and if it's coming from someone or some company that you don't recognize, you're most likely not going to open it. So if you're sending out important information to your participants or your coaches, you want to make sure that it's coming from a name that they will recognize. So right here, you have the name and then an email address. We also have template settings that will be applied to the emails that your account sends. So something like a payment reminder, if you want to give that a custom header or a footer, you can populate that design right in here. And then any email sent out from your account will have that custom header and footer. We have some partners that have really snazzed up their communications from this. It makes them look more professional. It establishes your brand a little bit more by using the specific colors and text that you like. So that is also another area that I think is really just a way to kind of level up your communications. The next is new member email settings. This is a message that would go directly to someone when they join your account for the very first time. So it could just be nice to say, welcome, we're happy to have you as part of our community, or this could be a chance to communicate some really important things, such as if you use another system for, say, scheduling, or I'm blanking on some other ideas, but you want to send addresses for your practice locations or things like really important information for someone to know as soon as they join your organization. You could always put that in this member welcome email and make sure that they get it every single time someone signs up. So right here, this is your email settings page. Again, nothing that you need to maintain on a day-to-day basis, but we would recommend maybe every year or biannually checking this and making sure it is up to date. The next area that we're going to go into is automated emails. So the system sends many automated emails, from payment reminders, calendar reminders. If someone's payment fails, it will send a note. Every time someone registers, it will send a registration confirmation. So we are going to show how to customize some of those automated messages so that it can reflect your organization's voice, and you can also point out any important pieces of information that you may want your participants to have as they interact with your technology and your organization. So to get to your automated default emails, you go to settings and then registration settings. So I'm specifically going to talk about registration confirmation emails, which again, just go to settings and then registration settings. This is a pretty powerful page. I'm going to scroll over a lot of these settings, but we can definitely come back to them at another time. This is an important page to understand and digest if you're using the platform. Down here at the bottom, these are the messages that you can set, and this is your default registration settings. So if you guys were on the session earlier with Chris Kearney, he talked about default registration form fields. You can set up pretty much a template for your account, and that is what these messages are. This would apply to any new program you make. So these are your default messages. It's your standard, your template, whatever word you want to use. When you create a new program every season, that program will be created with these default messages and settings in place. And then you can customize them as needed. So what you would want to do with these default registration settings are configure them so they cover as wide of an array as programs as possible. And then when you're creating a program, all of those settings will be in place, and you just have to tweak them a little bit to get them exactly how you want. So the three messages here that are all automated are a successful registration message. So when someone registers for a program and it's successful. So if it's a paid program, that means they registered, payment was successful. If it's an unpaid program, it means they had a successful registration. Skipped registration message, this means that they started to register and they got to the end of the registration and did not complete it. So it kind of went through, but they did not get to the end. So this means that their payment is unresolved and they need to complete that in order for it to become a successful registration. And then the third, abandon, is when they start the process and then they just drop off. So they don't even get to the end, they just drop off in the middle. The system does save that activity so it can act on it, such as sending an abandoned registration message. And this is a way to, know someone was interested in joining a program and then they didn't, go all the way through the process to finalize that registration. So these are simple messages that we have here on our example site, but you can really make these as robust as you'd like, whatever works best for your organization and how you would like to communicate with your participants. So those are your automated registration confirmation messages. Again, you never have to push send on these. They're all automated for you. The next automated emails I'd like to review are reminders. So this really helps. I know it can be super time consuming when you're running multiple teams or multiple camps and you have games and practices and you have payments due at different times for different programs, and it would be somewhat impossible to manage all of that manually with email reminders. So our system does, I think, a really nice job of automating all of that for you. The logic that we have built in is pretty smart. You can customize the number of days that you want to send these reminders. So the first one that I'm going to go over, I'm going to navigate to a program, and then I'll go over the payment reminders. So on a program dashboard, I would go to settings and registration options. So this is the exact page that we were just on, but now this is specific to the program. So payment reminders, which is right down here with payment deadlines. If I had no payment deadline, then I'm not going to have the ability to send reminders. But once I enact a payment deadline, such as by the activity start date of September, I can send automatic reminders, and this is fully customizable. So I can send it 1 day, or I can send it 30 days in advance. This is a great way to just kind of automate things so that if anyone's unpaid, they will automatically get a reminder before the program starts. And again, you can configure this so it's within a certain amount of days of the registration start date, or it can be during registration, or by the activity start date. So this is the place where you would configure the, frequency of when you would send automatic reminders for payment deadlines. The other automatic reminder on the program level that I'd like to shout out is for calendar, game, and event emails. So right here on a program, I'm going to settings, preferences. And then on this page, this is where a lot of my calendar and schedule controls are. You'll see right here, game and event reminder email. Right here, you can uncheck this if you don't want people to get reminders. And then if you do, you obviously check it. So in the past few months, I'm sure a lot of people have already built out spring schedules, and then things came to a screeching halt, and you might not want to delete that entire schedule, but this is a way that you can kind of go in and uncheck the reminders that would be automated to your participants, just so they're not bothered with emails when there aren't actually events going on. But when we're operating as normal, and as you guys, think about your return to play strategy, checking this off when you build schedules, it's pretty helpful. I think the more reminders about scheduling, the better. And right here, you can customize it to send 1 through 5 days before the game or event. So that is another automated messaging feature that hopefully saves you a lot of time and also increases the communication that you have with your participants. So moving along, those were settings. So we talked about account email settings. We talked about automated default emails for registrations, and then also automated reminders for payments and for scheduling events. We're now going to move over to messaging tools. So how you can actually communicate with your players, your parents, your staffs, your coaches. So I think the most robust messaging tool we have is our Compose a Message tool, or sometimes we call it bulk messaging. So by clicking messaging, go to Compose a Message. And now this page, there's a lot of power behind all of these filters here. But before I go through the filters, I just want to scroll down a little bit. This gives you the option to email, or to email and text, or text only. So it's really nice that you can do all of this in one shot. I think especially for urgent messages such as a cancellation or something like that, that you really want to drive home, doing an email and a text at the same time is really valuable. For something that's a little more marketing based, you might just want to do an email only. So by choosing these, it kind of changes what you have down here to edit. So if you do email and text, you have your email box, and then you can also type out your text message here. One really neat feature is our email template tool. So right here, you can build templates within your account. We have right here a marketing template, a registration opening template. So if you want to promote that, like, hey, registration open for summer camp today, start registering, or a cancellation of a program or something like that. Any recurring communications that you want to send, that you want to brand and design a little bit, we recommend making a template, so then you can apply it to this message, tweak the details that you need, and you can send it out. So this is the email capability. You can also add files, attachments, images, and then text messages, as we all know, are obviously much simpler than emails, and this would just be text-based. What's nice is we have a built-in URL shortener, so you can put a pretty lengthy URL here, shorten it, and then include it in a text message, which is, I think, a really nice shortcut, especially if it's a program registration link or some long URL that would take up the entire text message page. You can shorten it, and it'll be about 8 characters or so. So that is the Compose a Message tool. Scrolling up a little bit, I do want to talk through the filters, because this page can get a little overwhelming, I think, but understanding just the capabilities that are at your fingertips here might really help you with your communication strategy. So filtering by site members, filter by programs and games, or send to admins only. I think probably the most used is programs and games, which means you're going to communicate to a singular program or multiple programs, or based on scheduling. So right here, you can even choose what programs are considered. I'm going to take off completed and unpublished, but you can filter it as far down as you'd like. So you can just choose field hockey. And if I left it like this, it would send to all field hockey programs. If I just wanted to do field hockey in the summer, I don't have any programs there, but you'll see field hockey in the fall, it would then just send to that program. If I want to do all sports, all seasons, you would keep that filter on, and then you have your full list of programs here. They're categorized based on whether they're upcoming or live. If I filled in completed, I can also see that. So say you were doing a huge marketing blast to everyone in your organization, I would suggest filtering on all programs here. But if it's something where, you know, it's just a seasonal announcement about something that's going on for current programs that are live, you could just do your live ones. So scrolling down a little bit, you can also exclude following programs, which I think is really helpful if you want to send to 90%, but you need to exclude one or two. So you can also use this exclude following programs. And then the other feature here by games is really helpful, where you can filter between dates and times and also locations. So say Homewood Field, which I think is actually Johns Hopkins field name. That is, if say, they canceled all programs or all scheduled events for a weekend because of weather or a field issue, you could go in and say, I need to send a message to everyone that has a game at Homewood Field between June 11th and June 14th. So that targets it nicely for you. Lastly, there is a part down here about canceled games. So this is another way that we're kind of integrating the messaging with the calendar tool, which is really nice. So if you're sending a message about canceled games, it gives you the option to cancel the games as well on the schedule. So that is a compose a message tool. There's a view recipient count, which I think is pretty cool to show you how many people it's going to go to, which is also very helpful. So let me go to our next messaging tool, which is invite to join. This one is pretty neat. I think we introduced this about 2 years ago. So if I go and find a program and you hover over the people tab, there's this player invites drop down. You also, if you're just on the people page, there's a button. So there's multiple ways to get to it. And once I click that, you're brought to this page, and there's 2 tabs here: players invited to this event, and then send players invites to other programs. So the way you can use this tool is really, I like to think of it as a targeted marketing tool, but I think the biggest use case that we see is from tryout to club team. So if you have people come to the tryout, and we're actually in a tryout program, which is cool. So I'm going to look at who came to this tryout, and then I'm going to send them an invitation to join Boys Elite. Right here, I can see that Johnny, Timmy, Chris, and Doug have not been invited yet, and then Wellington has been invited. Let's say Timmy performed awesome, and so did Doug, but Johnny and Chris didn't do so hot. I can select those 2 and then invite them. I can write a custom message here and click invite. I'm going to skip the message. This is our test site, so it's okay that I'm actually inviting them. And then you'll see here that while I'm looking at 2027 Boys Elite, Wellington, Timmy, and Doug are all invited, and their status is pending. This tool tracks the invitation through 3 stages: pending, accepted, and rejected. So once Wellington registers for Boys Elite, this would turn to accepted. Let's say Timmy rejects it and does not register, he rejects the invitation, then this would turn to rejected, and then pending would just stay until the person responds. When you message, you can also follow up to the players that have pending invitations, which is really nice. So this is, again, really useful for tryouts to club teams, but the other way it's really useful is season over season or year over year. So if you manage a big camp business and you have all of your registrations from 2019 summer camp, you can find your 2019 summer camp program and then invite, just, multi-select everyone if you want to invite everyone, and then find your, register for it. You find your 2020 summer camp program and invite them all. So, and you can write a message that is a little bit more marketing focused here, such as, we're back for another great summer. We loved having you last year. We hope you join us again this year. So that's a marketing way to use this tool. And then you can also use it when you just need your, current participants to accept registrations for new programs. Another way we see it used is for travel teams. If you as the organizer have people register per tournament they attend to pay the tournament fees, you may want to use this invite to join tool to invite them to that tournament registration. And that's another way you can kind of track the activity and who's accepted. So this tool, invite to join, very powerful. Again, go to your program, go to people, player invites, or from the players page, you can click player invites right here and it'll bring you over. And then I really focused on this tab, but this other one, players invited to this event, it's just the inverse. So it's looking at this team and who has been invited, and then you can filter per status. All right, so we're gonna go to our final topic. That I think is actually extremely beneficial, member email cleanup. So I'm going to go over to manage members. And then what we have here is the ability to filter on email status. So right here, this is my manage site members, my full member page. When I click here, you can see email statuses as okay, reported spam, email bounced, invalid address, subscribed, and unverified. The most problematic ones are bounced and unsubscribed. I'm sure anyone listening has had a parent or an athlete call them up and say, I'm not getting your emails, or I missed that email. We have a way for you to now actually check on that and remedy if there is an issue. So what I will look at are unsubscribed for the sake of this session. I'll click apply filter. Now it's giving me a list of everyone that has unsubscribed from the emails that are sent out of this LeagueApps account. So if we take a look at Arden, you'll see the unsubscribe right here. You'll have this export to CSV option if you want to use it. If you just want to, if you have someone on your team that could help you with this process, could be something you do monthly or maybe quarterly, do an unsubscribe audit. So filter it, export them, digest what is going on, and then to remedy the situation, you can go to the member's actual profile. And right here, you'll see on the left sidebar, email status is unsubscribed. The suppression event occurred on November 19, 2019. So you can actually also pinpoint the day that they unsubscribed or bounced. You can view the suppression event, and then you can also set email status to okay. So if I click that, it gives me the option to pretty much resubscribe this person. So I just did that, and now you'll see that he is no longer unsubscribed. You want to be careful about doing that against someone's wishes. We do not recommend going in and resubscribing people that have unsubscribed unless they pointedly are asking you to do so. There are some regulations around email deliverability, and anyone having the ability to opt out. So that's really important. But we do find some confusion sometimes that some people use LeagueApps to send marketing emails, but as I touched on, there's a lot of important automated emails and program payment specific emails. If someone unsubscribes from your account, it unsubscribes them from everything. So someone may get a marketing email from you and unsubscribe and then not realize that they also unsubscribed to the payment reminders and things like that. The other way people can also solve it is by logging into their member portal profile and viewing that here. And then they can opt back into their email deliverability this way as well. So, sorry about that. Having some mouse trouble. Let me see here. So jumping back over, just again, go to manage members. And then from here, you have your email status. The other important one to look at is email bounced right there. And then this would mean that the email associated with the member's account is actually undeliverable. So that is almost more problematic than the unsubscribes, because the unsubscribed is a feature that the member is actually opting out of, where the email bounced means that there's something wrong with the email and it's invalid and we cannot deliver the message. So that is the member email cleanup exercise. Again, going to manage members and then filtering on email status. You can export this list and then investigate each person that is having email deliverability issues. One other area that I would love to just point out is messaging view all sent emails. This is a way to track a little bit further messages that are sent. You see the send date, you see the status of them, the number of emails sent, and then you can also look at the tracking details that are present there. And this gives you an overview of the statuses that are queued, processed, delivered, bounced, deferred, or dropped. So we'll see here, again, this is our test site, so some of the data is a little bit funky. At fakeemail.com, definitely not a real email, and because of that, the status was bounced. But in real instances, you'll see engagement here, and it can show you if they are open, if they've opened it, or if they've clicked as well. So that is our demo of our communication tools. I'm going to hop back over here and touch available to them as a LeagueApps partner or part of our larger community. From here, we'll talk through, we just talked through communication tools on how you can communicate with your community. These resources on the screen right now are ways that we like to communicate with you, and different ways for you all to explore resources that we make available. So the first one is the LeagueApps blog. I do want to point out, in the management console on the dashboard, if you scroll down, there are quick links to product updates, our support site, and then also our blog. So we've been publishing a lot of content over the last few weeks. Make sure you check in there. We have a lot coming out of this Next Up Return to Play virtual series, a sports coalition that we're a part of and leading, that it's great resources, especially about navigating the pandemic. Second, the Events Hub. This is events.leagueapps.com. We have events all of the time. We used to have a lot in person. We've adjusted and are doing a lot online now. And this LeagueApps learning session, like you're in right now, we post everything on events.leagueapps.com. So bookmark it, check it out weekly. There's always fun stuff going on for industry insights, best practices, and engaging with the community. If you have ideas for events, let us know. We're pretty much open to anything. The third is a YouTube channel. This is an area where we have a lot of product tutorials, and then also a lot of recorded content from events that we host. So if you're ever struggling or want training for people in your organization on how to use LeagueApps, check out our YouTube channel. We have a whole playlist that's dedicated to new LeagueApps admin training. It's a 4-part series. So if you hire new staff, you can include that in your onboarding plan. Watch the LeagueApps playlist for new admins. Fourth, the Next Up Slack community. This is a few months old, and it's going amazing. For those of you that don't know about Slack, it's an online communications tool. We use it at LeagueApps. It is an integral part of our business. We created a Next Up Slack community for anyone in the sports world. We have organizers, we have other sports tech platforms on it, national governing bodies. It's a place to go, crowdsource ideas, share best practices, a lot of activity in it over the past few weeks. There are waivers being shared about COVID-19, return to play strategies, so definitely encourage you to check it out. And then support channels. Our team is here 365 days a year. You can reach us via email, chat from the LeagueApps management console or through support.leagueapps.com. We are here to help guide you and answer any questions that come up. So with that, I'm right up around 3 o'clock. We are so thankful for everyone that has joined. The next session that is coming up at 3:30 p.m. today is called Your Software Starting Lineup. I know I'm personally really excited about it. We have Doug Moore, our VP of Product at LeagueApps, and then Bharat Chopra, General Manager of our Integration Center. They are both leading an extremely exciting initiative about building an integration marketplace and a way for LeagueApps to help you build your technology and the softwares that we're using. So I won't give away too many more details, but we hope you all join us at 3:30 for that session. And we hope today's content was extremely helpful. And if we can ever be helpful in the future, please reach out to us at support@leagueapps.com. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful afternoon.